Je vais te poser une question à toi, Philippe. Est-ce que tu peux un petit peu décrire le rôle de ta structure, le portefeuille, surtout les entreprises que vous accompagnez aujourd'hui au Cameroun, et quel genre d'impact vous essayez d'avoir, et comment, de ton point de vue, d'un pays d'Afrique francophone, d'un des plus grands pays d'Afrique centrale, tu as vu l'évolution de l'écosystème tech et notamment des nouvelles solutions fintech pour ouvrir de nouvelles opportunités.
D'accord. Merci, Samir. So I will switch in English so everyone can understand what I'm saying. Okay. We have a data analysis and cloud ERP solution in SaaS for about 5 years in Cameroon. Today we operate in more than 10 countries in Africa. We also have some bases in Kinshasa, in Brazzaville, and in Bangui. The ecosystem in Francophone Africa is quite tricky because, you know, it's all about mindset. Because I always say that the mindset in Francophone Africa is not the same as in Anglophone Africa. I've done the both. I went to Lagos, I went to Accra, I went to Dakar, Abidjan. So I know, I saw things done differently, right? So we saw that many things have changed in Francophone Africa over the years. When I came back, because I was living abroad, so I came back in Cameroon in 2017 to launch this project, PHILJOHN Technologies. And at that time, it was quite complicated, very, very complicated, because, you know, the key for empowering tech is education. I think that education is really the key to improve the tech sector. Education at every level, not only to understand how tech can enable the countries and everything, but education even from the smaller ones to the more mature ones. Yeah. So it was important to educate. First of all, the stakeholders in Cameroon, to tell them that this is now that we need to act. You need to act for the tech ecosystem. You need to put in place the ecosystem. As Richard said, in Nigeria, you have a lot of incubators, facilitators, and everything. That was the first thing that we put in place in Cameroon, because you have a lot of startups, you have a lot of youth that have ideas, but if you have the idea, you don't have the execution, you will never go very far, because the idea is good, but execute is more important. And that's why the first thing that we put in place in Cameroon was tech incubators. You have active spaces, you have a Bukaru, you have many incubators that have been put in place in Cameroon, and that helps different startups to understand the ecosystem first, to understand in what they are going through, and to give them some education and knowledge about the different perspectives that they need to have to build a very strong and powerful company. And also, when we started in Central Africa, there were a lot of confusion. What is a startup? What is a startup? What's the difference between a startup and a SMB? And a lot of stakeholders in our country, government, everything was mixing up everything. Because a startup is not an SMB, it's two different type of companies, right? And what we did and we are still doing now is to put in place a startup act in Cameroon, right? And for the past 4 years, we have been working with government to put in place a startup act. And what came true is that in 2021, they had a lot of changes as tax exoneration for the startups. Like today in Cameroon, if you open a startup, you have 5 years, you pay no tax. 5 years, you pay no tax before starting to pay the different taxes. And also, if you reach a certain threshold in your turnover or your revenue or profit, now you can start to pay taxes. So that's a lot of actions that we did with the stakeholders for them to understand that there's something going on and they need to to act on it. And also, fintech in Cameroon today, it's a little bit slow, but we already have some pioneers, we Cash Up, Small Pay, and others that are trying to now gain some momentum and try to raise also some funds. I think that the highest startup that raised fund in Cameroon is about $5 million. You see, it's not as huge as in Nigeria or other countries, but it's something that is going through. And today, we as a company first, we act and put in place a lot of events also to educate the masses, but educate also stakeholders. That is important to build the future because the future is now.
Merci. On peut applaudir Philippe. Merci beaucoup Philippe pour ton intervention. Et ta vision terrain depuis le Cameroun, hein, depuis ton activité et de l'écosystème avec qui tu travailles, que tu accompagnes. We have the chance to have Eva with us. Eva, which is an entrepreneur, and she's developing a solution for inclusivity